Already the 3 stages that Pedersen won is Matthias Vacek. But today was exceptional. It looks like he doesn't feel the pedals. Matthias Vacek at the moment does not know how strong he is. He had the whole final under control by himself, was still able to launch the sprint for Pedersen once he was back in his wheel. Needing a race, he's going to get a race. They're going to fight to keep this guy for a long time.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are analyzing stage 5 of the Giro d'Italia and then predicting tomorrow's stage 6 on stage 5, which was 151 kilometers, finishing on the, I'd say, stunning cliffside, hillside town of Matera, won by Mads Pedersen in a reduced difficult sprint over Edoardo Zambonini, and who didn't see that coming, and Tom Pitcock in third. Johan, big notes from the day. First we should describe the course, the parcours. It was, I would say, like debatable difficulty. It depended what profile you were looking at. We'll have our producer Gabriel throw up a profile right now so you can look at it for yourself. But the RCS one looked a little bit more mild. The one on Pro Cycling Stats looked a little bit more extreme, but really the cliff notes are there were 3 sprints throughout the day, 2 for points for the points jersey, 1 for time bonuses. There was a breakaway up the road though, so it soaked up all those time bonuses. Mads Pedersen took the intermediate sprints from the peloton for those 2. Pretty impressive actually, the way he did it. And then there was a steep category 4 climb, 3K long at 8.5, 9% average. We're not quite sure. It was difficult, very difficult. And then 2 climbs up to Matera. They went up to Matera, descended down, went back up. Very difficult, like, I guess, finale, we'll say. Mads Pedersen wins the sprint. Looks like he was barely holding on. Almost got passed by Zambonini. Pitcock looked okay. I want to talk about that with you, but what were your big takeaways other than Mathias Vacek should get a raise on Lidl-Trek from this?
Yeah, it was a very difficult finale. As you say, Spencer, 3 guys go from the gun. Nobody even tried to go with them, so it was clear that this was a TV attack. They made it very, very deep into the race. They got caught really in the end, but the peloton had it perfectly under control. Of course, 3-man breakaway. At the end, there was only 1 rider left, right? So other than that, that climb with about 30K to go was hard. But the bunch was probably reduced to about 80, 90 riders on the climb, very stretched out, then a very tricky downhill where the peloton even split more. And then you could clearly see that in the last 5-6 kilometers, there were some guys who were fighting to come back or fighting to hold on that got dropped. So ultimately it was a group of like 50 plus 56, 57 riders to the finish. So you know that everybody has tired legs if that's the case. The sprinters who were there, even complete sprinters, I would say, like a guy like Mads Pedersen, they had a hard time. We could see on the steep climb with 30K to go, Pedersen already had difficulties, especially after UAE took over on the top. He went back quite a few places. But came back. Never got dropped. But especially at the end, man. This little attack of Primož Roglič, who was in the front and kind of tested his legs a little bit. Or in my opinion, that acceleration was purely to make sure that he was in front, that the peloton didn't bunch up, and that he could keep a good position, because you never know if there's going to be gaps in a final stretch with 3-4%, 3% in this case. Pedersen was struggling. He's a fighter. And then, as you say, MVP, most valuable player of the day, and not just today. Already the 3 stages that Pedersen won is Matthias Vacek. But today was exceptional. It looks like he doesn't feel the pedals. Matthias Vacek at the moment does not know how strong he is. He had the whole final under control by himself, was still able to launch the sprint for Pedersen once he was back in his wheel. Needing a race, he's going to get a race. They're going to fight to keep this guy for a long time. By the way, I think it's good to mention also today, news of the day also today is that Mads Pedersen has signed an extension with Lidl-Trek indefinitely. So he's gonna finish his career at Lidl-Trek. As long as he wants to race, he will be on that team. So it's I think it's the third one. No, my first one was Wout van Aert with Visma. I think also Marianne Vos did the same. Also lifetime contract with Visma. Now Pedersen. Then we have Pogačar, who signed until 2030, which is also basically a lifetime contract. So it's a trend. But yeah, I think Lidl-Trek does the right thing. He's definitely the guy of the team, and how things can change also. In a few months, because I remember a few months ago. I'm not going to say complaints, but some unease at Lidl-Trek and with Mads Pedersen, because they chose Jonathan Milan over Mads Pedersen for the Tour. And Pedersen, I don't exactly know, of course, the discussions that have happened within the team, but it looked to me that Pedersen was not completely satisfied with that he was focusing on the Giro and the Vuelta. But I think it turns out really well for him.
Yeah, right. A former world champion in the prime of his career. Like he is better right now than he's ever been. He might be the best rider in the world currently, if we just assume that Pogačar doesn't exist for 1 second, just for the sake of this. But he's very good. And then to not be going to the Tour, and then it's like, well, is Jonathan Milan always going to be going to the Tour? When am I going to go to the Tour? I thought that was just an unsolvable problem that he would just have to leave.
No, I think it's a choice. It's a choice that Crack makes. It's not stupid, if they go to the Tour, they don't have assuming they have nobody for GC really for a top place like a podium. You have Skelmos and you have Theo Gegenhardt, but there's for podium candidates, there's also other guys. So taking your fastest sprinter, it's probably also the proof that, it's probably not a right combination to take both. I would dare to take both to the Tour.
That's what Alpha is doing.
For the moment, Spencer, listen, they win 3 out of 5 stages. Cannot be better. This is something that all the teams would dream of. Not most of the teams, all the teams dream of this scenario.
The final kilometer, we should mention it because I was just rewatching it before we recorded. Pedersen is pretty far down with a K to go.
30 places down.
Yeah, and it is because Jay Vine, like leading into these, we'll call it just like the hill section, the hill zone at the end. Jay Vine is on the front, and they have his power. It's his real power on the screen. It's going between about 480 watts and 510 watts. And Jay Vine is 68 kilograms. So that's 7 watts per kilo on climbs. Like that is really hard. That is extremely hard pace. Pedersen slipping down. You think, I don't know about this. Yeah, you said he's 30 spots down, but the kilometer to go, it looks like there's no chance. Yeah. And then he pulls himself up. Vacek pulls him into position, leads him out. Somehow has the energy left to do that, which is mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. And then it was a long sprint. It was not a short tap-in win.
And slightly uphill.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Which, if you look at it from the overhead, Pitcock looks like he is the perfect slingshot. Like Pitcock's coming right around him. Doesn't get around. I think he kind of, if you notice, he drifts a little over, and then Eduardo Zambonini can come through against the barriers. Like probably in theory, he should have stayed against the barriers so he wasn't vulnerable to that. Ended up not mattering, wins the stage, but that's not an easy effort to do. Like that is unbelievable.
I mean, in the case of Pedersen, let's say, under normal circumstances, this type of finish, and in this field, he is unbeatable. The fact that he was suffering twice so hard, like on the climb with 30K to go, he was suffering a bit. And then especially on that last climb where Roglic attacked and where Vacek sets an amazing pace. There he was really, really, really struggling hard. And to come back from that, it took a lot of effort because he had nobody to bring him back. He did it on his own. I think that's why it was so close. Normally, a super fresh or a fresh Pedersen would win this with a bike length at least. I saw an interview of Pitcock, who was disappointed. I mean, he is usually disappointed when he doesn't win. He has this winner's mentality, and he said, no, he thought that Pedersen would have a harder kick, and that he waited a little bit too long. Anyway, I think it would have been difficult for Pitcock to beat Pedersen. Even in under these circumstances, but another third place for Pitcock is not bad. I mean, he's not a sprinter.
Well,
to be up there,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I would push back on that because it's not like, if that was 50 meters longer, Pitcock's winning. Like Pitcock was fading at the end, so I don't know if that's.
But he's not a sprint. He's not a sprinter for these kind. I mean, if Pitcock can win sprints in groups of like 5, 6, 7 riders after a hard stage. Normally, under these circumstances, there's always going to be guys who are faster than him.
But if Pitcock's not winning these stages, where do the wins come? Because you said yesterday he needs more than one win to make this race a success.
Well, the team. Let's start with one, right?
Well,
there's already 3. There's already one team with 3 wins. So it's. I mean, listen, Grand Tours are not easy, and opportunities are not there all the time.
He's racing for GC, right? So he's not going to be able to get in breakaways.
I don't know if he's racing for GC. I mean, I think he's going to try to race for GC. In my opinion, he didn't prepare for GC. I mean, he didn't prepare for this Giro to race for GC. I mean, it didn't look like it didn't do the altitude camps like Roglic and Ayuso and others that go for GC. So I think he's just taking it day by day. He will try to be in GC, but there's no guarantee. He didn't prepare for this because he did the classics.
It just makes it really hard to get wins when you don't, you see Pello Bilbao today, just like sitting up, losing as much time as he possibly can because he's smart, because he's going to try to win a stage later. If you're not doing that, it makes it difficult.
It is. Yeah,
you get stuck in no man's land quite easily. But just before we move on, you mentioned Pedersen suffering the first time on that Cat 4 climb. I mean, we don't know how accurate this is, but they're on Pro Cycling Stats in the live feed. It's a decent calculation. It looks like we don't know about the weights, but it has him putting out 508 watts for 7.5 minutes on that climb. And that was not explosive racing. That was just like everyone holding serve. Yeah. So that's over 7 watts per kilo for 7 minutes just to get to the point where you need to start riding hard to get to the sprint.
Yeah.
So that was not an easy finish.
No, it's crazy. The level's crazy. I mean, there's not much. I mean, listen, if that's what you have to do to stay in contention, there's only a few who really have an extra gear who can maybe make a difference at some point. I want to mention also UAE today. UAE, they took lead of the race on the last 500 meters of that hard climb. I think it was Jay Vine by himself with the others in the wheel. I think it was purely because there was a risky downhill and the peloton was broken in several pieces after that downhill. The thing I noticed is that I haven't seen Juan Ayuso with them. There was 5 riders of UAE.
I was going to mention that
not
too.
One of the Juan Ayuso was not one of those 5. He was further back. I don't know if that's the deliberate choice. There was somebody with him, another rider with him, but it seems to me that he has a little bit of problems with positioning. Also, when Roglic went, he should have been there. Yeah, he was 10, 15 places back. He was not far back, but if your team takes control and goes to the front, and especially if it's with the intention to be in front for the downhill, then the leader of the team and one of the big favorites of the race has to be with them. So that's obviously something that he needs to improve on. So yeah, that's I wanted to mention that.
And they were looking back quite aggressively. I assume wondering where is Juan Ayuso, and I was pausing the TV trying to figure out because I didn't think I saw him.
He was not there. He was like 15, 20 places behind those 5 UAE guys. With a UAE guy with him at least. So I'm not. I mean, I think it's not deliberate. It's just because I think he's still, he's not the best at positioning. He really needs to be hard to be in good position. Which later on in the race he obviously will be in front when everybody's getting tired and it's the strongest guys that come to the front. But today was not ideal.
And you think UAE was at the front just to stay out of trouble? That's why they were doing that.
Well, I think so. I mean, you could have thought also, well, they wanna pace it and maybe have a chance with Del Toro, but I mean, for Del Toro to win this stage, he would have to probably have attacked on that steep 800-meter climb, 3K before the finish. He wouldn't have won in the sprint.
Is Del Toro stronger than Primož Roglič? Because Primož Roglič was putting out almost 1,000 watts on that thing, and he didn't get any separation.
Yeah. Well, Primož was very, very fast to realize that he wasn't going anywhere, and he just went to the guy's a calculator. He just tries probably to stretch it out, because at that point, what you don't want is that all of a sudden everybody, is super, super on the limit. It slows down, and you have a little attack of 3 guys, and nobody can close the gap. So in Primož's case, I think his move was to stay in front and make sure that there was no unexpected attacks.
And I mean, what did you think of you think the attack was just like defensive, or maybe I can do something here? It
was not really an attack. It was an acceleration, but not with the intention to get away. He was in front. He went a bit faster. Who knows? Who knows what it is? It didn't cost a lot of energy, and he was. I mean, maybe he wanted to get away with a little group, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe he had heard that Ayuso was out of position. That's also a possibility.
Yeah. Well, whatever the reason, he looked pretty good, Johan, and I bet he looks pretty good because he's been training really hard. And you know how you can train hard, how all of us can train hard, is our new partner, Join Cycling. I've been using their Join app, and it is really a game changer because it gives you dynamic, up-to-date workouts. You just sync it to your Garmin Connect. So I upload my workouts right onto my Garmin. I do them well, I do them poorly. It's whatever. Like, you're not going to nail every workout. But the nice thing about it is, however you do on that workout, it then recalibrates and adjusts the next day's training plan based on how you did and how your fitness is trending. So it's really like in real time responsive. It's something that's kind of always bugged me. You have your coach load in a month's worth of training into your training peaks back in the day. And then it doesn't really matter how, because your FTP is changing all the time, every day, but you put it in, but maybe you're having a bad 3 days and then your workouts are too hard. Maybe you're having a good 3 days and your workouts are too easy. When they're just sitting in the schedule like that, and then you look ahead. The nice thing about Join is it's always generating based on how you're doing. So it doesn't matter what your workouts are next week. You can't even see them. So I really like that. It's like something that's always bothered me about the training when I was training difficultly hard, however we want to say that. But with Join, it's not difficult. It's very easy. And if you're traveling for work, if you're watching a lot of bike races, if you're doing podcasts and newsletters every day, maybe you don't have all the time to ride that you want. It doesn't matter. You just do what you can, and Join will calibrate it based on that. It's the responsiveness is incredible. And if you're serious about getting faster, you are in luck, because the Move listeners get 30 days for free on the app. So there's no risk in trying it out. The link to access that code is join.cc/themove, join.cc/themove. It's also in the show notes if you want to check it out there. I highly recommend it. There's really no downside, because if you don't like it, you don't have to keep using it. If you like it, you can keep using it. But Johan, who's not looking their best? Wout van Aert. Mm-hmm. Is he, What's going on there? Is he just not feeling great?
I heard an interview. I heard an interview of him before the stage with Belgian TV, and he just accepts the situation. He says, he hopes he's getting better. His form is not great. He says. He said before today's stage. He said the Wout van Aert of yesterday will not be in the final of today's stage. So we saw that he got in trouble on that climb, right? On that climb with 30K to go, the Cat 4 climb, he made it back. And then basically he took on domestic duties. He kept Simon Yates in the front. And that was it. As soon as he saw that everything was going to be okay in the last 5-6 kilometers, he went backwards and he just sat up. So he's physically not feeling 100%. And he was very, very open and honest about it in the interview.
It's actually shocking to see him now and to imagine that he got second on stage one.
Yeah.
It's more impressive.
That was quite the performance. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're like, ooh, maybe he's not in great shape. Look, he slipped back. It's like, well, maybe he just felt terrible. Like, I actually can't believe he got over that climb now in retrospect. And then the time trial performance, not as bad as we thought based on this current fitness. It's a shame, though, because the weekend is perfect for him. And I don't think he'll be ready to contest those stages, unfortunately.
The thing is also what I fear a little bit. Listen, it's Wout van Aert. Obviously, he has a huge engine, and these guys can take a lot, right? But usually, man, when you come into a Grand Tour and you're off like this because of an illness and you're on the limit, and it's clear he's on the limit in these first stages, it's difficult to improve, man. You recover. I mean, you get more tired. It's more difficult to recover. Again, Wout van Aert is an exceptional rider. So if somebody can improve throughout a 3-week stage race, it's him. But it's not ideal, man. It's not ideal.
My last note for the day is Mads Pedersen. If you're not watching these stages start to finish, he is smacking people down in the intermediate sprints. The first one, it was like he read Greg LeMond's bike racing manual front to back, because he just went to the outside, accelerated through the corner, and like he just coasted. He didn't win it because the breakaway took the first few spots, but he just coasted to the win from the peloton because he had put such a big gap in him and everybody else, and then beat. Caden Groves is having like a lieutenant go up and sprint him for these intermediate sprints, and he beat the lieutenant, Jensen Plowright, and then it's not seeming to affect him in the finish. So unless he crashes out, I don't see him losing this points race.
Yeah, the points jersey is obviously a big objective for Mads Pedersen, and he's on. I mean, I think he has already 90 points advantage on the second after 5 stages, so it's looking good for him.
All right. Well, do you have anything before we go into tomorrow's prediction?
There's nothing really other to mention. I think no. I mean, again. A nice 4th place for Luis Olar, who's there again. It's a sprinter who's not well known, but on those stages where it's difficult, he's there. One thing that surprises me, I mean, I don't know if there's something wrong there or not, or if it's deliberate. I don't think it's deliberate. But and although we all know that Primož Roglič is the big leader of Red Bull Bora, but Dani Martinez today again 6.5 minutes down. Let's not forget this guy was second in the Giro last year, so that's a disappointment. We haven't. I mean, of course, we have not been on his terrain, but not a good week, not a good first week for Dani Martinez. I hope he turns it around and that he can be of any significant help for Roglic, because he will need him.
Yeah, it's good that you bring that up, because he had a strange beginning of the year. His first race was basically Basque Country. He did the GP Miguel Indurain before it was terrible. And then he got 7th at at Liège, which would suggest quite good form. And then He got dropped on day one. I think he lost time on the first stage here. So I don't quite understand. Did you hear anything about, like, was he doing something differently to prepare for the season? That he stayed?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you say he started in the Tour of the Basque Country or in the Rhine just before, he must have stayed for a very long time in Colombia, I guess. So probably didn't attend any of the training camps of the team. Stayed in Colombia, trained there at altitude normally, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of. I mean, especially, I've seen some Colombian riders, if they're given too much freedom, it's not always the right way. I'm speaking from experience in the past. So
I don't know if this is exclusively a Colombian thing. I don't know if I would be. It's just, I think, and I was thinking about this just last night, Johan, because we were looking at results from a race I did actually, and there was 2 Visma riders in it. It was in like May. Sepp Kuss and George Bennett at the time. They were on Visma, and I was thinking that's kind of funny that they were in the U.S. That used to be more the norm, that people would stay. Americans, North and South and Central Americans, would stay in the Americas for longer and then go over to race. But you don't see that so much anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of these riders that have good seasons are there like November, December, January, ready to go. So I feel like we're in dicey territory talking about certain people from certain countries struggling after having too much freedom. But it does seem like it would be harder to be focused.
I don't want to talk in general terms, but my experience with South American riders. I had a few Colombians, and I've spoken with a lot of ex-colleagues about Colombian riders. Do not give them long-term contracts. Is the key.
Well, I will say one thing that. I think it's like, if you're at home, you're the man. I think you're like the man, right? Because you're so famous. And I would imagine it's kind of hard to lock in if you spend a lot of time in that environment, because you're like, why do I have to go train? Because I'm awesome. And everybody.
Well, listen, we don't know. Listen, maybe Dani Martinez, there's something wrong. Maybe he's sick, or we don't know. But it's not good. A guy like this should be at least with the main group, he's
the Liège result makes it really strange. I don't quite get that. So we're going to take a quick ad break, and then we'll predict stage 6. All right, Johan, tomorrow's stage 6 from Potenza to Napoli. I feel like we've done this stage multiple years in a row. Long, 230K long. The Napoli stage has actually been they did a circuit here a few years ago, and then I think the run-in last year was quite interesting, but I'll list off.
Is this not where Binyam Girmay won the Giro stage in Napoli?
Oh man, now I don't know. Wait.
I kind of think so. I think so. It's,
wasn't that was that back in 2022 when he won a Giro stage?
Could be.
No, Jesse Pescara to Jesse.
Okay.
But the Napoli stage you're thinking of from that year he was 5th in the breakaway. Thomas De Hent won that stage.
Okay.
And I remember we were like banging the keyboard because we did not think that was going to happen. Then it's fun when they go into the city. It's quite. I think there was like maybe last year, the year before, Napoli had won Serie A, so there was banners everywhere.
One thing is sure. Normally, when the Giro gets to Napoli, it's going to be. I mean, I think it's one of the most chaotic cities in the whole world. Napoli.
Yes, it is.
But when the Giro's there, it's going to be chaotic. There's things go always. I mean, there's chaos, and ultimately they figure it out right at the end. That's it has to be like this in Napoli.
So, I think Geraint Thomas had to chase on, and he got dinged because he was following his team car. I wouldn't be shocked if a GC contender flats and has to chase on this stage. But a professional gambler reached out to me, suggested Bet365 for the odds because it's available in Europe and the US. I checked, I could bet on it today. So I'm going to read the odds from Bet365, similar to Unibet, but it's available almost everywhere. Olav Koy, the favorite, plus 150. Mads Pedersen, plus 600. Caden Groves, plus 600. Sam Bennett, plus 800. Casper van Uden, plus 800. Matteo Moschetti, plus 1,400. Milan Blanc-Feton plus 1,600. Paul Magnier plus 1,600. Wout van Aert plus 2,800. Michael Zeilard plus 3,300. Gerben Tyson plus 4,000. Max Kanner plus 5,000. It goes on, but the winner probably will come from one of those. Assuming you think this is a bunch sprint, who do you think is going to win it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bunch sprint, Spencer. I can't see any other way. The final of the race, as we've seen on the profile, is quite easy, longer stage, probably an early breakaway with the typical suspects, right? The invited teams, Polti Visit Malta, and then Bardiani, and then whoever. Not Tudor or not Q36.5 because they're invited, but they're racing for results, not for TV time. So yeah, bunch sprint, and I'm going to go for Olaf Koy. He's, in my opinion, the fastest pure sprinter. I'm not going to say he has a great team for the lead out, but who has, right, in this race? I think the team of Casper Van Ruden Picnic, they had a good lead out the other day, but I'm still going to go for Olaf Koy. Yesterday I was with my son in the car, and I don't know the right number anymore, but I think he has I think this is his third season, and the guy has already 36 victories in professional cycling.
Olaf Koy?
Yeah. He has more than 30. He has 36 or something, or 37.
Crazy. You're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's my favorite to win. Plus 150.
Well, he was really fast on stage 4. The concern with Koy is the team. I mean, he's going to have Eduardo Affini to lead him out. Will they have anyone else? Unclear.
I mean, normally he should have Wout van Aert. Maybe Wout gets it right, and he's the last lead out guy. So that would be nice.
And the lead outs are important because I should have said this in the breakdown. So we've had 5 stages. 4 of them are sprints, unless I'm forgetting one. I believe the first rider to launch has won all of them. No one has passed anybody in a sprint yet. So that would tell us you probably want to be the rider to launch first. How do you be the rider to launch first? You have the best lead out. I'm going to go Caden Groves plus 600 because I don't think they have really any other objectives here. The team is here for Caden Groves. So I think that gives him an advantage.
Yeah, I agree. And, he's also one of those pure sprinters who usually also gets better as he gets into the race. So I think it's right to have those two guys, 1 and 2. My wild card, the Giro is known for sprinters sometimes who nobody expects, especially because, and in this Giro, there is no real strong or dominant team that can put a train and line it up. So it's kind of bunched up, and it's great opportunities for sprinters who are really good at finding their position. So Matteo Moschetti plus 1,400 is my wild card to maybe bring us a surprise and win the stage. Of course, today was a low speed sprint, and that can happen sometimes, but this is typical for the Giro. These kind of guys all of a sudden come out of nowhere and up, they're there. They either win or second or third. Tomorrow we could see something similar with a guy like Moschetti or Milan Fretin or someone else.
Olar. I kind of like Moschetti. And that would be funny if Q36.5 wins a stage at this Giro and Tom Pitcock doesn't win one. But I mean, a guy like Moschetti, actually saying this name reminded me, someone reached out to us. A listener reached out to us last night and said it's not Lecce, it's Lecce.
Ciao, Spencer. My name is Francesco. I'm Italian, but I live in Los Angeles. And the city that you guys were mentioning yesterday is Lecce, not Lecce. So, yeah, the guys were in Lecce. Ciao.
All right. We heard that.
Lecce, Lecce in Spanish is milk.
Yeah, I guess like café con leche.
Café con leche, arroz con leche.
And then So I guess it would be, we were talking about Riccitello, I guess Riccitello. Then
Riccitello.
Yeah. Also, Luke Lampardi, I learned yesterday, name is not Luke, it's Luciano.
Oh, wow.
Lampardi, yeah. Just goes by Luke because it's easier, he said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other things for tomorrow's stage? It's also kind of a hard stage. I don't know if I mentioned that up top. There are multiple categorized climbs. It's not a flat roll in, so that actually probably does help Coy and Groves, because the harder it is, I don't want to call them higher quality, but like the bigger the rider in terms of quality, the more likely they are to win.
Well, it's 2,500 meters of elevation over 227K. So not extremely hard, but also not easy. So you need to be in good shape.
Here's an idea. I just thought of it. I stole it from Twitter. Someone said this on Twitter. Very good idea, I thought. Should they put UCI points on offer at the intermediate sprints to incentivize riders to get into the breakaway? It's kind of an interesting thought.
Well, I mean, why not?
Cofidis, like the whole Cofidis team would be like,
I mean, Astana would be all over this.
Yeah, it would be pretty interesting. I thought that was an interesting proposal. So a random Twitter guy, please send that to the UCI immediately. All right, Johan, and we will be back tomorrow to break down this stage and then predict stage 7. So we'll talk then.
Okay, thanks.